just getting a feel for it right now. I mean, the brakes, world class. If you don't know about Porsche carbon ceramic brakes, also known as PCCBs, they really are the best brakes in the world. So that's full throttle. And there you're doing 90 miles an hour. And I will say, on full throttle, that's really where you are going to feel that 580 foot-pounds, 550 foot-pounds of torque. But in the end of the day, it doesn't really feel that fast. Like if you do drive some of these new modern Romas and whatnot, and they do have a bit more torque and a bit more horsepower, but the torque fill between 2 and 6 to get to the top end, it's so much thrust. And I love it. It's just, where this thing really shines, guys.
When you look at the speedometer, you don't realize you're going that fast.
Yeah, like it just feels like it has power everywhere. It doesn't give you the top end rush like a GT3 will, obviously, where it just keeps climbing all the way at the top. And you do know it's all-wheel drive when you are giving it the beans like this. And again, we're not giving it the beans. We're really just taking it 6, 7, 10 here. But I'm trying to let you guys get a little idea of how it feels. And it feels great. I mean, it's just a wonderful car. It's such a pleasure to drive, and I love the PDKs. I mean, these transmissions, guys, world class. And anytime I get out of one of these Porsches, I always just miss it. And it's because of the transmission. It's not really the flat six. I do love the feeling of the flat six, and I love the performance of it, but it's the PDK that makes it so damn good. I mean, it's so fast that as soon as you give it that full throttle like we just did, you gotta back off because you're running out of road. And so this is one of those cars that you have to have a lot of restraint with, you know, and I've heard people say, I've actually had multiple friends tell me the Turbo S is just too fast for the street. I gotta say, now that I've been driving a lot of these newer modern cars, right? I just got out of a Roma that had, gosh, at least 600 horsepower of the wheels. It wasn't rated for that, but that thing was stupid. You know, this doesn't feel quite as fast as it probably used to, and that's all relative with speed, right? I mean, you get out of a Plaid, you get into this thing's not going to feel quite as spicy. But I'm telling you, it's got the performance, guys. I mean, that's 90. It's like, how fast do you need to go, right? I mean, you can...
Better to need it and not...
Exactly. It's always nice to have the power. And what I do like about this car is that, you know, it's pretty quiet even in the opened exhaust mode, and so you can actually enjoy it on a back road. You're not going to get the Karens calling you too much. And it's just fun, man. I mean, I really think Porsche nailed this thing in every way. There's really no downsides to the Turbo S. You know, you've got the 3.8 liter, you know, it doesn't have the gas particulate filters like the new one does. Yeah, I'm sure the new one's faster, but I mean, that's plenty fast. I mean, good Lord, you come out of these turns, you give it the beans. I mean, you're doing 70, 80, 90, 100 before you know it. Look at that. And that's 100 almost. Just crazy fast. And I really do like this steering wheel. You know, it's a good mix between the GT steering wheel and then also the normal steering wheel where you actually have some functional buttons. I do like the switch here. Everything just feels really high quality. It feels really punched up. Overall, guys, I just think Porsche nailed the driving experience. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And a lot of it is because of the PDK. It's just so great. Different Productions, my name's Adam. Thankful to have you at the channel. It's been a little while since we've been able to do a long format car review. We were at Monterey Car Week last week. Hope you guys enjoyed the stories. We had over 1.5 million views on our content and over 1,000 comments on some of these things that we posted. You guys really had some nasty comments on that Everati, which is a Porsche EV conversion from the 964 and the 993 Turbo. So this, though, is one of the cars that I personally think is in the sweet spot for a used car buy right now. This is a 2017 911 991.2 Turbo S. We're gonna go through the whole car today. I've got Greg, the owner, who's gonna come on camera with me in just a second. We did a full POV drive. Guys, this is the peak Porsche in so many ways. I personally think this car looks better than the 992 Turbo S. I think that it doesn't have gas particulate filters like the newer versions, and so it has a little bit more soul. It has the analog gauges versus all the new technology, and in general, it's so much car for $130,000 to $160,000, which is where these are based on miles, spec, condition, etc. Now the Turbo S does always come with PCCB brakes. That's just what they come with standard. This does have the aero kit on it, which is adjustable. That front splitter and this raises up. We're gonna demonstrate that for you on our POV drive by holding the button down. But overall, guys, we're gonna cover everything you're gonna wanna know if you're looking to buy one of these in the used car market, okay? But take it from me, and I hope you kind of get the vibe when we do the POV drive. This is a ton of car. 580 horsepower. It's underrated. It has to be. This thing goes to 60 in 2.4 seconds unofficially. Porsche says 2.9, but trust me, it's closer to 2.4. It is just ridiculous. It's all-wheel drive. It's got torque everywhere. From 2,200 RPMs, you get 550 foot-pounds of torque. So from 2 to 7, you've just got all the torque in the world, and the thing just moves. This car will make you feel like a real rock star, even if you're not a good driver. So let's get into it. I'm gonna bring Greg on camera. We're gonna go through the whole car, kind of just talk about it, his opinion of it, his impressions of it now that he's had it. I mean, this is the best looking 7-year-old car out there. The only thing that I think is a better looking car that's aging so well is the Vanquish sitting right over there in the corner. Otherwise, this thing is gonna look just as nice, just as cool, just as dialed, I think in 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I think these are gonna become really collectible because they're a little bit smaller than the new ones. You know, every generation just gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. You know, the 997 generation and the 991 generation, to me, are peak Porsche as far as size. You got just enough interior space to be comfortable. Two big guys like me and Greg are 6 feet tall. At the same time, though, you still have that wide stance, those big air intakes on the side. This thing just looks sweet, doesn't it? I hope you guys enjoy. Appreciate you watching. If you learned something, leave a comment below. Feel free to use the chapters below, right? If you want to just skip to the POV drive or the conclusion, or you want to just listen to Greg's thoughts, you can use those down below. Make it easy to navigate through this video because it'll probably be a long one. And like always, we appreciate you watching. Let's get into the next clip. Hey, my man, thank you for coming to the HQ. Appreciate you. So, what are your thoughts on this beautiful 911 Turbo S that you've recently acquired? And you've had several, right?
Yeah, this is my 7th Porsche.
7th. Nice.
This is the pinnacle for sure. Peak Porsche. Thoughts, is the best car I've ever owned in my life, the best car I've ever driven.
How do you sum it up? I mean, when you say the best car you've ever driven, I mean,
if you get stuck out and you need something from the grocery store, you got space.
I'll show you the front trunk. So per his point, you know, like some of these new GT Porsches, right? Like the 992 RS, you have no front trunk. You got a very practical front trunk, and you can actually get some good space in there.
And you can put tons of stuff in the back seat.
Yeah. Now, Greg was saying, if you guys didn't know, that this actually has an ability to slide your hand back and forth, but it's been finicky. You have to have the key on you. And we haven't been able to do it, but it's supposed to automatically unlock or pop up without having to put the dang key. It's not doing it though. So that might be the only issue. While he did turn on the lights though, I do want to point out these sexy front headlights, guys. Look at that.
I've had 3 others the same issue, so it's not particular to this car.
Okay, that's fair. This does have the PDLS headlights, so when you are going, it gives you these 4 really cool kind of halo headlights, very BMW-ish, but it gives it a really aggressive stance, especially at night when you come up on somebody. They know you're in something cool with these, you know, quad front lights and then everything else. But overall, I was a really big fan, Greg, of these new wheels they came out with. I think these are some of the best looking Porsche wheels in the last 20 years.
Yes.
They are so cool.
Definitely.
And, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but it's black, and then they kind of have this really cool, you know, chrome effect on the outside. So this polished lip and everything. It just looks great. But you have the center locks. So a little bit of a pain in the butt if you do need to change out the wheels. You know, you got to get a breaker bar and everything. But are you really changing your tires on this car yourself? No, you're calling it professional.
And it definitely lets everybody know it's a Turbo S.
Yeah, exactly.
The S wheels.
So coming to the back, the difference now, I think on some cars that I've seen it, you can get this color matched, right?
Yeah,
so
most of them, it comes colored matched. This is an option.
This is an upgrade, okay.
Yeah, gloss black.
So I think this is an upgrade here, right?
Yes,
this
comes with the
all that's the gloss back. The black badging's an upgrade.
Down here, side skirts, and the front.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, do it again. Wow, look at that, guys. Wow, that actually comes out quite a bit. Well, that's cool. And then the wing on the back. Okay, there you go. So if you are wanting to have full downforce mode, you come in here and you push that button right there. It does give you a screen. We did it when we did our POV drive. And then as you can see, it extends this front lip right here. It's interesting. I could see what you meant earlier by scraping, because boy, that does come down a good, what, inch and a half, 2 inches. I love Carrera white. It's a good looking car, man.
Yes.
This thing is sexy. What do they call this red interior again?
Bordeaux.
Now, I don't think you could have gotten bucket seats, or could you have gotten
Not on
buckets?
the, well,
You probably could have spec'd.
probably could.
You would have had to been a madman to spec them.
Very rare to see that.
Yeah, do not spec your car with the buckets. Like, it's one thing when you have a GT Spider or a GT4, definitely get the buckets, but for a car like this, guys, these are the 18-way adjustable seats. Let me tell you, these are some of the most comfortable seats in the game. What I love about these seats, and I've mentioned this in other reviews, if you do happen to check them out, but this right here extends, and this is a really, really great feature to take pressure off your lower back. So when you're in these seats, this hip can take all the pressure here, and you also got a really good bolster here. And if you can't get comfortable in an 18-way seat, you really got back problems, I'm telling you. Otherwise, I love the spec here with the carbon fiber. Just gives a really nice color contrast. It's got the Burmester sound system. Everything is just nice. You know, you don't get a lot of really cheap plastics in this car. It's got the extended leather package and whatnot. It just feels really punched up. And one of my favorite features is the wheel. And I'm gonna show you that. Big, they're not too small. I love the switch here. For I would call this the Manatino switch, but this is just such a cool feature where you can adjust things. It really works well. You do have this button right here, which gives you full bean mode for 20 seconds. It's a nice little party trick. But my favorite thing about the wheel, and you know, I mention the wheels a lot in my reviews because it's the place you interact with the car the most. And this is just a perfect mix of GT Porsche while still maintaining a lot of actual buttons that you can interact with the car with. I like that. I don't like a wheel with no buttons, like that 718 Spider over there has no buttons on it. It's kind of cool, but every once in a while, you know, I just kind of want to turn up the volume. You know, I don't want to have to come over here and adjust the switch. So from that point of view, it's nice. And then everything else is standard Porsche. You got your Le Mans style on the left, you have your analog gauges, you do have a TFT screen over here, which you can display, you know, your tire temperature and tire meter and, you know, engine oil and all that fun stuff, right? But at the end of the day, you do have the analog gauges. You have the Sport Chrono over here as well. And everything else, you got dual climate control in this thing. You got Apple CarPlay, which is a nice feature. I don't think it's Bluetooth Apple CarPlay though. You have to plug your phone in right here, if I recall. So it isn't synced. Like the 718 Spider isn't synced either. Once you plug your phone into the middle switch there though, it will ask you if you want to initiate CarPlay. I do love this as well. They got rid of this in the new ones. And Greg, I actually think that's the thing I most dislike about the 992 Porsches.
Know. They call it the electric razor.
Why did they do that?
Like a electric razor.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
Like,
it's almost push button.
When I was doing my POV drive, guys, I shifted as much here as I did here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And because it's like a manual, right? It's just it's fun. Yeah. When you drive it, do you shift this?
Yeah, I have, but I do like the pedals.
You do like the pedals the most? Okay.
Yeah.
Just for me, as a car guy, I tend to go ahead and use this more often than not. Either way, you have to slot it into manual mode, so you do have to interact with this some regardless, but you don't necessarily have to ever use it. I just think it's cool. And I just like to put my hand on it, you know, I don't know. I'm a sucker for it. This does have the smoking package, so you definitely want to spec yours with the smoking package, guys. That way you do have that cover. Otherwise, it's just a little empty thing.
Or you can get a cup holder.
You can get a cup holder, yeah, but I would rue the smoking package. It's a very low-cost upgrade. If you do need to put some drinks in the car, Porsche has engineered this fantastic design. They've been using it for years. It works great. And overall, like, this thing is just a really great luxury place to be. You know, everything has got leather or carpet, right? There's very little rattling going on. Everything feels high quality. Every button is either metal, has nice tactile feedback. You know, when you're adjusting the AC, right? It's a nice, satisfying click. When you're adjusting the knob, it's a click each time, right? It's the little things that Porsche engineers that just feel quality. most of these new modern cars, everything's a button that is like digital, right? And you get no feedback. It's the complete opposite in these older cars. There's a button for everything, and you still get a touchscreen. You still get a front screen. So you do get the perfect mix of old and new. You still get Apple CarPlay, etc. So I think that they just nailed it in this generation. The newer ones, while I haven't reviewed a new 992 Porsche, from what I've been hearing, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I just thought that would be something to mention on camera. Just for some giggles, guys, we'll attempt to get me in here. If the roof was up, I don't think I'm sitting back here, okay?
Tall enough you can drive from back there.
Yeah, I mean, nah. I don't know how your wife did it. Is she 5'2" or something?
No. They're dainty.
Yeah, man. Like, I can't even get the seat to go all the way back. Maybe if you were to push it up. Okay. I mean, yeah.
In a pinch.
I could, yeah, in a pinch, you know, if I mean, because again, the roof's going to be like right here,
So
right?
it's always sitting sideways type thing. Is
Yeah.
how the kids will jump in the back and they just sit sideways. Just one.
I will say though, for a 2x2 car, it's in a
Yes.
class kind of its own, right? Because the cars you're comparing this to, McLaren 570s, R8s, etc., they don't even have back seats at all.
Exactly.
The cool part about having back seats is you can throw a bag back here, you can throw some groceries back here. You know, keep in mind when you put stuff in the front trunk, that's where the radiators are. So they do tend to release some heat into that area. So if you do have ice cream and stuff, you can melt stuff. So it's nice to have these back seats. But as far as passenger comfort, I don't know if you got any like guys that you want to take to the bar or something, they're going to be miserable. So stick them up front, and somehow he says his wife can fit. I don't even think my wife could fit.
No
at 5'4",
complaints either.
So, no complaints? Well, that's a good woman right there. One of my least favorite parts about the car, frankly, is the fact that you cannot see the 3.8 liter engine. So this is all you can do, guys. You can lift up this top. Now, when you do put the top up and down, by the way, this does automatically lift for you, but that's all you get. So you can put in some oil and you can put in some fluids. Everything else, you're pretty much gonna have to take to Porsche. You do get these 2 cooling fans, which do come on quite often, especially when you turn the car off, just to let the, extract some heat. We're gonna show you the roof mechanism going up here. So this is obviously a cabriolet. So like I said, it comes back.
Supposedly it's 8 seconds.
8 seconds, wow, that's pretty impressive. There you go. You can control this and this independently as well. You know, this car looks great either way. I obviously would take it with the top down more often than not. If I had a convertible, you might as well. But it looks great. At 24,000 miles too, I assume this is the original top. I mean, this thing looks great. I mean, it's in really good condition. So Porsche has really engineered the ability for this to go down without creating too much wear spots. You can see there's one right here, and that's about it. So maybe a little bit right here, but overall, that thing is in good shape. And real quick, guys, if you do need to put the top up in a pinch, like today we got caught in the rain randomly, you can put this top up in up to 30 miles an hour, which is really nice.
So I've heard the tops are reasonably affordable to change. They just do the top portion. The whole inside doesn't need to be replaced. So from maybe 6,000 to 9,000 is what I've heard.
Okay.
And I really wanted to get the red top, so I'm considering maybe just changing it out prematurely.
I would stick with the black top personally.
Yeah.
It keeps it a little bit more on the male side of things, right?
Yeah, you're right.
The red one's a little on the feminine side.
Yeah,
but,
especially with the black arrow kit.
Yeah, it looks, the way it sits right now, man, this thing pops. Like, this thing looks good.
Yeah.
I really like it. Now, one thing I was talking about with Greg he's going to do is he's going to get rid of these Pirelli P0s and put some Michelin tires on it. They just suck. I mean, they take forever to warm up. They don't give you really great road feedback. They're loud. Yeah. They're just not the best tire.
And I noticed at high speeds, it gets even squirrelier.
Does it?
About 160 or so, it starts to get real slippery.
Well, those things are going to get squirrely when you start driving it in colder temperatures.
Yeah.
You know,
For some reason, on any kind of curve at high speed, it feels very unstable.
Yeah, I felt it a little bit today. Like, I know this car is more capable than it was putting down today.
Yeah.
It never felt like unstable necessarily, but it just
a little
felt
slippery.
Yeah, like we were kind of sliding out a little bit before I was giving it some fuel. again, it's just the tire, guys. I'm not hating on Pirelli necessarily, but if you put a Pirelli P0 next to a Michelin PS4 and you drive them back to back, I'm 100% confident you will go with the Michelin every single time. I know when I had my Vanquish right here, that thing had the P0 tires on it, and when I put the PS4 tires, it transformed it. In fact, the Pirellis used to skip. When I used to go and turn the wheel, it literally skipped like it was a cold day. It just did it all the time. Didn't matter what temperature it was. And that used to drive me crazy. I thought it was an issue with the car. Turned out it's just the tire. So the tire compound is really important to the overall driving experience. So I think that's really going to help him when he goes and changes out the tires. But yeah, overall, man, you want to talk a little bit about the buying experience that you had? I mean, there wasn't that many for sale.
So there was 2 for sale. And pretty much nationwide in the cab for 2017. I wanted 2017 because of the price point. They made significantly more. They made double in 2017 than they did in 2018, 2019.
Okay.
So the prices reflect that. They're not at bargain prices. You can go get a turbo for probably 40, 50,000 less. The S, I had an 18. I had to go a year older and about 10,000 more miles and spend $30,000 to get this car.
Do you think the difference between this and the S is that much?
Some say it's only a 1/10 of a second difference, and I don't know.
It's just bragging rights, huh?
Right, well, you get the brakes, the ceramic brakes.
So you could spec a turbo similar,
yes.
but you're paying more money. Brakes are going to run you $8-9 grand, right?
The center locks, the carbon fiber. I'm not sure if there's a suspension difference, but with the dynamic chassis control, I would have to research that, but it feels like this handles a little better. It is kind of a bragging rights thing. It is the pinnacle. I mean,
you're getting the Turbo S, right?
It's the Turbo S, and it's resale too because there's fewer of them.
Right.
So that's big with Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, you told me this thing had an MSRP of $220.
$220.
Yeah. So again, guys, you're getting a $220,000 car. Looks pretty much like new, 20,000 miles, right? And you pick this thing up for I think $160. Is that it?
$159.
So again, not cheap. Don't get me wrong, but a lot better than $220, right?
Yeah.
And so, in a lot of ways, that's starting to get into that, like I said, that buy zone. Now, I would love to have one of these around 130.
Yeah, but get you a 14.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna hit 130 to 140, and I think they're gonna stop.
Yeah.
I just don't think the
Me
Turbo
too.
S is gonna go any lower than that, unless you just have a ton of miles or you have accident or something like that.
Right.
But a clean one like this with a good spec, I just don't see how you lose much money on it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a hell of a car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, with what they're doing with the new ones and the pricing of that, I mean, it just makes these all the more bargain.
It just keeps going up. I mean, a new 992 Turbo S is $250 all day.
And when there's literally, so if they made 250, there's probably 1,300 Turbo S's in 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, and 25% of those will be wrecked, and then there'll be some that get miled out. So it definitely is going to bottom out. I'm hoping 150, 130, but then it's going to go up from there.
That's the thing. Will this go up in value? And I think
Eventually.
It will, because there is no hybrid technology. Yeah. There is no batteries to replace. It's very old school in its design. I mean, it's just a 3.8 liter twin turbo, and that's it.
Yep.
I mean, there's no other electronic gizmos and gadgets that, frankly, all of the newer cars have. I mean, you got the new GTS they just came out with. Really cool car, tremendous amount of performance, almost as fast as this thing, frankly, even though it just doesn't. I mean, it's a 3.6 liter and whatnot, but it's hybrid. And you got the hybrid system, and you got things to go wrong with that. And you've got batteries now, and all this extra complications. A lot of tech. Yep, you got the new screen that's all digital, right? So, I really wanted to do a review on this one to tell you guys that I think this is really peak Porsche. I think this is the sweet spot. You're almost at the point now where some of these specs are going for 60 cents on the dollar, and that's a lot of car, guys. So if you're looking for the do-all car, you're looking for a good daily driver that you can also have some fun with on the weekend. If your wife only allows you to have one car in the stable,
not just some fun, lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's
some fun.
I mean, the cool part is you could track these. I mean, you could literally take this car on the track.
And you'll be one of the fastest out there.
Oh, 100%. You are not looking for the flash, right? Like this car, nobody really cares unless you're an enthusiast.
This particular one, though, everybody, guys that are Porsche experts and guys that barely know anything about Porsche, they say, that's the best looking Porsche I've ever seen. Because it's got that standout detail with the S, the wheels.
It does.
And it's just the color combination.
It does.
So it does, you can get, I had a blue one, blended in. I didn't feel like I was getting that flash. It was just a performance beast, but it was all blue. And it just didn't pop like this particular one.
This spec does, and I love these wheels. I said it already, but they're the best looking Porsche wheels. I like them better than the 718 GT wheels. I mean, if those wheels were on that car, I'd like it even more. So, and you're right, man. The whole black trim, it just looks great.
Yeah, it gets second looks. My blue one didn't get a second look. This one gets second and thumbs up.
I still stand by what I said, though. In general, I think you buy a 911, you are under the radar.
That's right.
Nobody's going to be coming up to you at gas stations and saying, how much do you make? And what do you do? And all this stuff. You buy a Ferrari, you buy a McLaren, you buy a Lamborghini, you buy maybe even an Aston or something like that, a little more exotic. Like you are going to get some of that. This, on the other hand, you buy because you're a driver and because you know that this is one of the fastest cars on the road, one of the best drivers that you can have. It's reliable, it's comfortable. He just checks every box. And again, these were really, really expensive, guys. Now you can pick one up for a good value, in my opinion. Is it still a lot of money? Yeah. I mean, it's not a cheap car. 150 grand is still a lot of money, especially these days.
And after sitting here talking about it, I just feel really strongly that I might go buy another one. I think they're going to do well. This is the limited amount of them. And
you can have a coupe, and then you can have both.
Yeah.
You know, get like a really cool coupe spec, and then you have the really cool, cabriolet spec like you do.
Can't go wrong.
Me personally, like I would probably go with the cabriolet. I mean,
well, with the rigidity in the modern cars, it's not like the older convertibles where they had to reinforce the frames and add more weight. So the cars, you won't notice a difference in the rigidity.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just looks so good. It's just nice to have a convertible. I mean,
As a matter of fact, I just watched a video where guys compared a coupe to a convertible, and they were trying to see if there's any drag at high speeds. They had to get up over 150 to even feel like there was a difference. Yeah, so there was nothing on like 0 to 60 or anything affected. So
I will say, if I got a coupe, I would get the sunroof, and that's kind of the best of both worlds. So
great glass slider.
Yeah, that is cool. So I suppose that you could make a case to have the coupe with the convertible or with the sunroof. You get the best of both worlds. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little walk and talk and just getting Greg's opinions about the car and kind of showing you some of the interior details and some of the exterior details you might not didn't know. But I hope you enjoy the POV drive, which is coming up right now. All right, guys, we are in the 991.2 Porsche Turbo S, and I'm going to give you a nice point of view drive here. So in order to start the car, you have to have your key on you, and you can see it's on the left here, Le Mans style, like a lot of the Porsches. Now, I will tell you, when it starts up, it's not that loud. It doesn't have that Ferrari growl or anything like that. You got to go ahead and turn the brake off, put your foot on it, pull up to release the brake. Now, I am going to roll the windows up. And another little trick, if you didn't know, is if you hold this button right here, it allows you to control the back windows. And that's just fun to do, okay? Now, essentially, PDK, super easy. And then it's just on you in manual mode here. Now, I will say, this is in normal mode, and you do have Sport and Sport Plus. Now, Sport Plus is pretty much for the track only. Now, it definitely does transfer a lot more noise to the exhaust system. It shifts your, where it shifts, how aggressive it is on the throttle response. I just want to show you normal drive mode, especially on this back road here. Now, we've got the top down, and so I'm going to put the top up when we get to the end of this road, but I wanted to start off. This is a really bumpy road. It's a B road. In normal mode, you can see how butter this car is. So the reason why everybody loves the Turbo S for the daily driver and just kind of the check all boxes is you get a freak in the sheets, but if you don't want to go crazy, you can just comfortably drive the car. We're doing 30 miles an hour. It's in 4th gear. It revs really low. It lugs really well. It's got a comfortable suspension, enough that it doesn't beat you up. These 18-way adjustable buckets, I mean, that was a cat guard. I mean, you could see no problem. it's just fun to drive. It's easy to drive. You know, it's effortless. And I do think the dual personality of this car is up there with the absolute best of any car out there. I was just talking to Greg. I mean, Greg, would you agree that, like, as far as a daily driver, this is just, it's got everything you need?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's just comfortable. And I think it gets, what, 30 miles a gallon?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that. I really don't know how they engineered 31 miles a gallon. You know, yeah, it's got an 8-speed, but still, with this amount of performance, to have that type of fuel economy is really awesome. Now, you do have to run premium, obviously, so that's something to be mindful of. Now, in normal mode, I will say, nobody's going to know you're doing anything crazy because it's so quiet. You barely hear the turbochargers, you barely hear the exhaust, but I wanted to show it to you on a first point of view here, just how easy and effortless this car is to drive in this mode. We're heading to one of my favorite back roads here. We'll be able to have a little bit of fun. I did want to point out, you do get quite a bit of road noise in this car. This has the Pirelli P0 tires, so if you want to go with a Michelin, it'll be a little bit better, but this is not exactly a quiet car. This is one of those cars that you're definitely gonna, know you're in a sports car pretty much the entire time, especially on a road like this, which isn't, freshly paved asphalt. But is it so loud that we can't have a conversation in here? No. So if you are going to do 70, 80 miles an hour on the highway, as long as it's not a terrible road, it's not going to give you a headache. But I will say, you're driving a sports car. But still, it's comfortable, guys. The way that Porsche has engineered the damper settings and whatnot, it's just really nice, even on this back road. And this is a pretty bumpy road. The road we're heading to is actually not that bumpy. We can have a little bit more fun. And I want you to know, if you guys are watching this, we do not encourage or endorse speeding. As you can see here, we're being really easy on these kind of more popular roads where we actually are going to exploit the car a little bit, and we're only going to do 610, 710s max. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're over an hour outside of Nashville, and the only thing I worry about are people coming out of their driveways, and there's only a handful of driveways, and deer. We do need to be mindful of deer. Otherwise, we can have a little bit of fun, and that's where I encourage you guys to enjoy your car. You can't always be taking your Porsche to the track. It's expensive. They're many hours away in most cases, so you got to enjoy your cars respectfully. You're not here to go crazy and pass people on the right on the highways doing 100 plus miles an hour, which you could do in this car, mind you. You'll get there real quick. This is one of the easiest cars in the world to drive fast because it's got all-wheel drive, because it's got max torque at 2,200 RPMs. We're talking 550 pounds of torque. It's got all-wheel steering, or it's got rear-wheel steering, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a new feature they added in this generation. It just makes putting this incredible performance and power to the ground so easy. And you're going to find that few cars are going to make you feel more like a hero than this thing. And really, there's very, very few cars that are going to keep up with it. I mean, look at this. Coming out of these turns, does it have unbelievable top-end power? No, but because it has such good mid-range torque, it really allows you to have a lot of fun and keep up with so many cars on the road. You just never lack power. You're never going to be in the wrong gear in this car. I mean, even if you're in 7th or 8th gear and you give it the full gas, even at 2,000 or 3,000 RPMs, the turbos spool up almost immediately, and you've got plenty of passing power. And if you do need to use full bean mode for just a little while, they give you this wonderful button right here. And that allows you to have 20 seconds of full response, and it doesn't matter what mode you're in. So you don't have to shift it into sport mode. You can keep it in normal mode. You can hit that button, and then you've got 20 seconds of full response, full torque, full turbocharged boost. Everything's just dialed up, ready for you. And I think that's a really fun feature. For example, if you're on, let's say you're on the, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and you have to pass somebody doing 120 miles an hour, that's where that would come in handy. Or maybe you're on a back road and you have that one little double yellow that it opens up, and then you really got to pass them. That's where that button comes in handy. Now, do you really ever need it? No, because this thing has got so much power even in normal mode that you're going to be flying by anybody you pass. But it's a cool little feature. It's kind of a gimmick party trick. Yeah, it's a party trick. But I think it's fun to have. I mean, hey, anytime I have a button you know, to push in a car, I'm always
when that
for it.
Hellcat pulls up next to you.
Exactly. The Hellcat pulls up next to you, boop, and then just gas it. And he's not keeping up. Well, at least not initially. He'll catch you eventually, but the cool thing about having all-wheel drive is you put all that 550 foot-pounds of torque to the ground, and it's really hard for anything that's rear-wheel drive like a Hellcat to keep up with you. You know, the car is not a light car, but the way it carries its weight, it's really incredible, guys. Like, it feels so good. It doesn't feel necessarily like a light car. Like, I do think if you're going to track this car, you're going to go through quite a few sets of tires just because it is not, you know, a 3,000 pound car. I think it's closer to what, 3,600, 3,500 pounds, especially with the cabriolet. But
yeah, 35.
But still, you know, it just feels so fun to drive. And the weight of the steering and the PDK and the flat six, you know, they retuned the engine on this new version of it, right? They give it larger injectors, a more powerful fuel pump. So basically, they really just tried to dial up, you know, the power a little bit. And of course, to do that with a turbocharger, you need more fuel, you need more air. But they nailed it, guys. They really did. There's just no negatives in the driving experience. It's just such a good time. I hope that's coming through on camera. I mean, that's 80. You know, I mean, you're reaching for those PCCB brakes real quick. I mean, you just don't. I mean, like I said, most of the time in most of your roads, like being on a back road is about the only place you're going to be able to really push it. You know, Greg lives in the middle of Franklin and Brentwood area, and I'm like, man, you got to be careful with this thing because there's so many police around, and they don't mess around, right? You go 10 over, so you just got to put it in normal mode, put the top down, put some music on, and just enjoy it. But if you do want to have fun, and you do want to take it to the track, and you do want to take it to a back road and spool up those turbochargers like we're doing just a little bit anyway, this car delivers. It's going to put a smile on your face. It's fantastic. It really does. I mean, I kind of want one, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I really do. And I enjoy the Spider, and I enjoy the 6-speed manual, but if I had to have one car, right, just one car in the stable that delivered on both the sport and the daily driving, this is it. I mean, this is why they call these the everyday supercar. Well, guys, this is my conclusion. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. You know, Driven Productions is a passion project of mine. I've been doing it for years now. I've got to meet so many incredible people through the channel, including Greg, who brought his car out today. We met through the car community here in Nashville, Tennessee. Look, this is a lot of car for the money now, no doubt about it. This is just a well-built, well-engineered car. When you sit in this car, guys, just from hello, you just know it's quality. The way the 18-way wraps around you, the seat, you know, the way the steering wheel feels, the way the car turns on, you know, the way the PDK just kind of lugs and gets around town, even at slow speeds, it just feels like such a well-built piece of machinery. And then when you do get into the power plant, man, I mean, the torque, you're shoved back into your seat. The PDK bangs the gears with the best transmissions in the absolute game. It may be the best transmission ever invented, frankly. And it's just wonderful. It's really a great car to drive. It's gonna get your senses going. It's gonna get you your sensation of speed you're looking for. You don't need to have a GT3. In fact, I actually think for more applications, this is a better car than the GT3. Because the GT3, you're gonna get a lot of blue balls driving that car. It's only fun when you're above 6,000 RPMs. But where do you do that on the street? You're most of the time gonna be between 2 and 6 just through your daily commute. So every once in a while, yeah, you get to bang it off the rev limiter, but in the end of the day, this has got that torque everywhere. And it gives you that livability, that practicality. You get 31 miles a gallon, which is incredible. I mean, I can't even believe that you can do that. I mean, it's because it's an 8-speed, it's because it can lug with the best of them with the PDK, but in the end of the day, guys, I love this car. I actually kind of want to buy this car now. I think after I sell the 718 Spider right there, I'm probably going to be looking to pick one of these up because, you know, it's funny. That car has the carbon buckets, right? Let me show you this car just for a second. I'm going to do some content on this real soon. I love this car, guys. Absolutely love it. Mid-engine. It's got the 6-speed manual, right? But this has carbon bucket seats. Now, I'm a young guy, and I like the carbon bucket seats. When you're going for it, oh, they're just wonderful, right? They hug you, and they're pretty comfortable when you're in them. But getting in and out of the seat ain't fun. It bruises you. There's no way you can get in and out that comfortably, okay? My wife was in it the other day, and she goes, I hate these seats. Well, this car sucks. Like, she was giving me the stink eye the whole time, right? Because it's beating her up, it's digging into her hip a little bit, right? So what's cool about that car is you get all the performance and the cool factor, maybe not quite all the cool factor because these are a little cooler, let's be honest, but you get most of it. And you get the comfort too, right? And so there's a lot to be said about that. That's why all the reviewers and all the automotive journalists of the world always say the do-all sports car, the everyday supercar is the 911 Turbo S. So I appreciate you watching. Hope you learned something. I didn't know a few things about this car, like the aero kit adjustments and things like that, but I just really enjoyed it, and I hope that you can afford one of these and can enjoy it. And I hope that you get to make money on it. I think maybe in 5 or 10 years, Greg might be right. These might just tick up in value and then, like the old 997 turbos, just continually rise every year. Because you're right, and they're not going to be making more of them. Everything's going to be hybrid. Everything's going to be less size, more efficient. 3.8 liter twin turbo, guys. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment below. I really appreciate Greg finally getting to do this together. We've been trying to get this review on the books. We've had to reschedule 2 or 3 times, either due to weather or traveling or whatnot. So I'm really excited we got to do it. And I appreciate you watching. I will see you guys on the next one.